Okay, so I've mentioned the rivalry between these two football clubs at nauseum on this channel. Now, in my last video, if you were a keen viewer, you would have noticed that at 2,000 subscribers, the channel forfeit, I, as a Blackburn Rovers fan, have to wear a Burnley Claret home jersey in a live stream. Now, this has been an ongoing thing on the channel, channel forfeits. Now, there was a comment on that video that basically says, I'm paraphrasing, that this rivalry is older than their country. Now, I believe that's an Australian viewer, and federation in Australia comes after 1900. So this rivalry, yes, is older than Australia, as Australians know it today, with the flag and Western Australia being part of Australia under federation and Dominion status. Before then, it was the colony of New South Wales, colony of Queensland, colony of Victoria. They hadn't federated and become Dominion status, and that's important. I just thought I'd mention that. And yes, this rivalry does not only predate some countries' independence days and some countries' foundation dates, it also predates the foundation of the Football League by 4 years. The first official match between Burnley and Blackburn, because Burnley were the home team, hence why I'm using them first, 27th of September 1884. That's the first official match between the two clubs, and it was a friendly. League play wouldn't resume. Organised league play under the Football League comes in 1888. They've had 106 meetings in total. Blackburn won the initial meeting 4-2. So, thumbs up to Blackburn. We win something. We haven't won a lot lately, so I'll take the win. In 106 meetings, Blackburn have won 41. Yay! Burnley have won 44. So Burnley edged the head-to-head. There's also been 21 draws. So Burnley slightly edging the head-to-head. This is a very, very even rivalry when it comes to the two clubs playing each other. 3 wins difference in total? That's hardly bragging rights for either club. The only bragging rights comes with silverware, should I say. But when it comes to the actual head-to-head, you could barely put a cigarette paper between the two clubs. And I honestly mean that. This is a very even rivalry from day one until now. The last meeting was a 1-0 to Burnley 2 seasons ago. But it has basically been pretty much neck and neck the entire rivalry. So the record wins is very, very interesting. So the first, all of these wins are 6-goal margins. So these are blowout scores. The first record win comes as a 7-1 to Blackburn on the 3rd of November 1888. That is the inaugural season of the Football League, when it's just the 12 founding teams. 11 of those clubs still exist in their current form from foundation. Only one club has had to be reformed, and that was Accrington go bust. Accrington Stanley is the successor club. So out of the 12 original clubs that founded the Football League back in 1888, 11 of them are still going as they were founded. That is ridiculous. And these two were part of that inaugural season, which was the inaugural season was Preston North End winning the League and Cup double. They were the first club to do a League and Cup double, was Preston North End. And I've covered the football club histories of all these clubs. Now, it does take a while for Burnley to equal that record-breaking win with a 6-0 on the 18th of April 1896. Now, the third record-breaking win, the date is very important, and I'm going to discuss the date and the significance of that period of time and football at that period of time. So the 6-0 that Blackburn recorded on the 28th of November 1914. Let that sink in. Let that date sink in. Now, in both the First and Second World War, league play did eventually get suspended. At this point, Britain and her colonies, the Empire, the dominions of Canada, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and the other colonies, conscription isn't a thing. It doesn't come till 1916. That's very, very important. So at this time, many of the young men playing and watching would have most likely recently volunteered and were about to get their orders, their papers, to go into army camps to be trained to go overseas. Now, both Blackburn and Burnley, industrial towns of the northwest. At this time, the PALS battalions are being formed. Now, across the country, PALS battalion. I think it was started in Sheffield, the first PALS battalion, but PALS battalions were basically groups of friends who may have worked in the same factory, lived on the same street, went to the same school, signed up together en masse, and they would have got their papers and then their reporting papers to report to the nearest military barracks for getting their uniform, getting their serial number, getting their rifle, and going into basic training. The PALS battalions were formed because so many men volunteered in the opening months of the war. People believed the war would be over by Christmas, and that date is just under a month before the football match that took place on Christmas Day 1914. Many of the men may have been in the stands at that game in uniform, about to ship out to northern France, and a lot of them didn't come back. PALS battalions and football clubs had a big thing as well. Football clubs had a big thing where whole you think of an old terrace, you think of that, they all sign up. Players of both Burnley and Blackburn sign up. Then conscription comes, and then the league play has to stop. And the players who hadn't volunteered at that point, either being too young or in reserved occupations, because a lot of the players had jobs working in collieries, in the mills, down the mines. Eventually they get conscripted, and women do the war work. Many of them didn't come home. So I thought I'd let that little bit of history, get that in there. And as someone from a military family, Armistice Day means something in this family. I know not everyone wears the poppy these days, and that's fine. That's a totally fine thing, but that's where the PALS battalions come from. There was a big football element with it, and there was a big drive with football clubs being used in the war effort to garner recruits. And many of the soldiers were actually football players, and rugby league players, and rugby union players, and cricket players, sportsmen. They were seen as good recruits because they were fitter than the average recruit. Now, moving on from that sombre note, I thought I had to add that because that is a very, very crucial date. Shouldn't be forgotten. The most appearances records. It's an equal record of 19 games each. Jerry Dawson for Burnley and the great Ronnie Clayton for Blackburn. They have 19 appearances each in this derby against the other team. The final bit I want to look at is actually the silverware. So Burnley are slightly edging the head-to-head when it comes to games played and wins. Blackburn smashed the trophy department out the water. We've won the FA Cup as a club more in total than Burnley have major honours to their name. Ridiculous. Blackburn were the first club to win the FA Cup 5 times. Now, when it comes to winning the league, that's the old Football League Division 1 or the Premier League now. Blackburn edged that with 3 major league titles. Burnley only have the 2. FA Cup, Blackburn smashed that. We have 6, Burnley have 1. League Cup, we have 1, Burnley have none. Charity Shield, Burnley have 2, we have 1. So Burnley have 5 major honours. Blackburn have 11. Now, there are the other divisions as well. We've got Division 2, Division 3, Division 4. The War Cups. Blackburn do have a League War Cup from 1939. So Blackburn edged the silverware. And actually, if you look at the rankings of the most successful English clubs, Blackburn are still in the top 10. Burnley sit below the top 10, which is a shame because they're, again, founders of the Football League. I actually am surprised Burnley don't have more silverware. I'm also surprised Blackburn don't have more league titles as well. I'm surprised both clubs haven't won the league more, considering that they were founder members of the Football League. It shows how competitive English football actually is historically. And if I was to go through all the league champions and all the FA Cup champions, it's a lot more competitive than people realise. People think lately, obviously, the Man United era, the Liverpool era of dominance back in the 70s and 80s, Man City now. Wolves back in the day were very dominant. Preston North End won the first 2 league titles and did the first ever League Cup double in the first ever season of the Football League. Certain clubs have their dominant spells. Blackburn's dominant spell was actually with their FA Cup wins when they win their first 5 in a very short space of time. There was a long gap between their 5th and their 6th. But honestly, it is a ridiculous amount. Between the 2 clubs, that's a lot of trophies. By anyone's stretch, that's some history there. There's some silver in the trophy cabinets. So Burnley get the win when it comes to head-to-head in a very narrow win. Blackburn get a bit more of a win when it comes to silverware. But in total, it's actually a very, very even rivalry. Always has been. In 106 meetings, only 3 wins is the difference. It's ridiculous. And yeah, Blackburn have won more trophies, but when it actually comes down to it, you take away the FA Cups. In fact, you take away the Cups. There's only 1 league title difference between the 2 sides, and that's the one I think that really matters is winning the league. And we've only won the 1 more than them. So, as I say, a very, very even rivalry. I will have to do videos on Jerry Dawson and Ronnie Clayton. They are legends of the game from yesteryear. And we're talking, yes, we are going back in time to the black and white days. But there we go. There is a brief history of Blackburn Rovers versus Burnley, a.k.a. the East Lancashire derby. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below. If your country, by the way, or the city you live in is actually younger than this derby match, I would love to hear from you guys. But as I say, from me for now, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support over the last few days. It has been very, very humbling, as I say, and I'm still in shock and awe about the view counts. Ridiculous. But as I say, thank you very much. From me, very humble. Really appreciate all the love and support you guys continue to give, and I'll have some more content for you guys very, very soon.